did we spike everyone's interest in governance solutions on Soroban? I'm not sure I'm hearing you all. Yeah, are you interested in governance on Soroban? Is that interesting to you? Yeah? Are you ready for the next panel? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining again and for staying on. Yeah, we are, as Justin mentioned, we're right back on to talk about some more governance solutions. So this time, this panel is going to talk about DAOs and the possibilities for governance in the Soroban ecosystem. And we have some amazing panelists here on stage who are the pioneers of these solutions right here in the ecosystem. So yeah, we have Enrique from FxDAO, we have Christian from DAO, we have Tim from Commun DAO, and then Danilo from Block Science. So yeah, if you mind, maybe please introduce yourself quickly, and then we can take it away.
Sure, thank you. Hi, I'm Enrique. I've been in the Stellar network for a few years. I've built equitable wallet and other kits that we use in sometimes. But I'm working in FxDAO, which is a decentralized protocol to issue stablecoins backed by lumens. And the reason I started in Soroban is because I saw the opportunity to basically make the DAO that I would like to see in the network, because something I have seen in other blockchains is sometimes DAOs are not really thought a little bit in about the community. It's more about some insiders. And I thought, well, Soroban is new, so I thought it's a good opportunity to make some difference.
Yeah, hi, I'm Christian. I'm a software architect from Berlin. I've been in the blockchain space now since 2017. Actually, we started here on Stellar with tokenizing stocks back in the days. And yeah, basically I've seen DAOs a lot from the side of actually developing startups or helping founders getting their first steps into the blockchain ecosystem. And it was most of the time always the same problem. So the people came in and say, oh, we now want to launch and we have this great idea and Bitcoin is pumping, we want to get out there now. Oh, we should make a DAO. And then a whole wormhole of problems arise around legal, around vesting, and around governance structures. And yeah, so that's why when we saw that Soroban is launching, we thought that DAO infrastructure from the get-go would be a good thing. And yeah, that's why we started with DAO that we're presenting today.
Hi there, my name's Tim. I'm a software developer. Worked in the Stellar ecosystem for, I don't know, a few years now. And from Stellar Community Fund got me interested in the governance aspect of decentralized governance. And when Soroban was announced, we decided to build Commun DAO, which is meant to be a system to easily deploy communities, which are DAOs, and manage those communities. So, yeah.
Hi everyone, Danilo here. I'm an atmospheric physicist and engineer at Block Science, a firm for complex systems engineering. Our expertise is mainly design and validation for complex systems and economic systems. We've been involved on several projects out there on Web3, like Filecoin, Gitcoin, and we've been also supporting several systems to develop innovative governance modules. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. I think like these should be working too, right? All right, just yeah, you have the mic. All right. Yeah, why don't we start kick things off? So Christian, can you help us get started on yeah, kind of what is the DAO tooling that you are constructing, and what are the unique features that you've implemented in DAO using Soroban?
Yeah, I mean, basically we came from two directions. So one thing is that if you want to get started with your startup today, you shouldn't be focusing a lot of the stuff that might occur in the future. So this is on the stuff that might occur in the future. So what we had in the past quite a bit is that said, oh, we need to have a DAO, so we need to select the chain right now, and we need to get all the features right from the get-go, because we might make a lot of problems and it might get us into trouble if we don't do this today. So we have basically a twofold thing for it. We built the entire stack very modular, so that you can swap out all the components at a later stage, or could like enhance them or build your own plugins on top of them by registering your own smart contracts from which we call into from our system. But actually, when you want to get started, as soon as mainnet launches, and at the moment on testnet, you can already launch your DAO just like within minutes. We have actually like a system that's a no-code solution, so you can set up a DAO, issue a token, and come with a very robust majority-like governance mechanism from the get-go. And yeah, basically right after that, if you find down the line that your startup grows or your blockchain ecosystem or protocol has different features or requirements, you can basically start building plugins and extensions on top of it. And everyone in the space here who's a developer can start building plugins for themselves and like open source them to the community that hook like into the voting mechanisms and all the functionality of this. So think a bit of like Shopify or WordPress, all these things, you know, from the Web 2 era that had a very robust core and then a very rich ecosystem on top of it in hardsing it. This is like the vision we have for iDAO DAO.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, Tim, you've actually worked on some pretty innovative like mechanisms as well, like a combination of DAOs and like DAO tooling and Discord. Would you mind shedding some light on, on Community DAO?
So Community DAO, I started as what we called Stellar DAO Discord bot, but then kind of evolved into something further, sort of like Snapshot UI on Ethereum, but it's designed to be an NFT membership DAO where memberships are based on reputation instead of like buying tokens, and that plugs into social platforms like Discord, GitHub, Slack, and uses information metadata from that to grant permissions in the DAO. Voting is tiered, so there's different tiers. So you start off, you know, at a low tier. You could be nominated to be at a move to a higher tier, and existing members vote on you. And basically the goal is to make it easy to govern communities without having giving a financial or an economic advantage to people, so one person could come in and take over the entire thing. Kind of another slide here. Trying to make it easy to deploy by having a very simple sign-up process. Somebody that's not familiar with being a software developer, and basically they can just go on our website, have a Stellar wallet, and deploy we call it a community, but it's basically a DAO, right through the website. And then with our DApp, be able to make proposals, you can make integrations with an API that we're building, like a software development kit, and allow custom features using that kit. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, really, like, I also forgot to mention that all of these have, you know, to do somewhat with the Stellar Community Fund, and Enrique, Christian, and Tim are Stellar Community Fund winners. I think Tim, you know, maybe known as Silence, you know. I think maybe that
you might know me. I'm Silence in Discord.
So, you know, old-time, like, very original Stellar OG. So, really excited to hear that, and, you know, now that you're going more into the DAO space and the governance space. Great. Well, Enrique, I would love to know, so you are basically like pioneering community kind of engagement and like DAO tooling in, and also like in DeFi, and we'd love to know, not DAO tooling, but DAO, the uses of DAOs in DeFi. So we'd love to know, more about FxDAO.
Yeah, FxDAO, the idea of having a protocol to issue stablecoins, it's a must to be a DAO, because since we are issuing the stablecoins, it's better if the community actually can handle maybe a few things about it. But we even wanted to go a little further, because we actually incorporate the DAO in the Martian Islands, which is one of the few jurisdictions that actually allows having a legally incorporated DAO. And one of the requirements is actually being able to comply with some regulations that if somebody holds a lot of the power of the protocol, is something that we need to actually handle that. And that's something that actually Soroban inherits from Stellar, where you can actually vet some trust lines, which is something actually pretty cool that you have natively in the protocol. So we thought that Soroban was a perfect fit for this type of solution. And even the protocol itself benefit from those native solutions that Soroban has, because even updating and upgrading the contracts. I feel that's something important in DAOs in general. I mean, I understand that some people might want contracts to be completely immutable, which that's also a valid situation. But for DAOs, that's not really actually possible because, you know, if a DAO is going to last years and years and years, at some point we will need to upgrade something. And Soroban offered everything just natively, which is pretty cool because in other solutions, sometimes you need to do some type of magic, while in Soroban being just right there, it's better because, well, there is no bugs or risk issues. So basically, with FxDAO, it's trying to have all of the possible options that the network itself gives you to basically create something similar that we have Liquidity or MakerDAO in other protocols. So yeah, that's one of the reasons I decided to do it in Soroban instead of other places.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love to dive into that a bit more later on as well on a technical level. So yeah, I mean, now we have bring it over to Danilo, and so would love to know. I mean, we heard a lot about the actual voting mechanism of the Stellar Community Fund in the previous session. Very kind of a deep dive into governance and kind of also Soroban, and as part of that all collaboration, also working on governance models, as you mentioned. I would love to learn a bit more and kind of and all your years of expertise and research in other blockchain worlds as well. Well, it's like, what is different now with Soroban? We'll dive into that later, but love to learn a bit more about what you're building and what you're working on for Soroban.
Yes. So in parallel with the voting mechanism that we've been implementing and we did discuss on the previous presentation, we also have been doing an effort on building a governance modules library for Soroban, because we want to incentivize Soroban to be a platform for DAOs that require sophisticated models for governance, but also we want to emphasize that Soroban provides a better included experience for developers. So we've been building this library, and the idea is that governance modules, as we did discuss on the previous talk, you can think on as modules solving several classes of problems, like modules that solves the class of problem of how to set weights, modules that solves the problem of the question of how do you manage identity, and so on. And just to provide a preview of how this governance modules library is going to look like, the idea is that we have a wiki style page, and that we have categories across the different governance problems. And we have, for each one, we have groups of pages that specify what are the modules that solves that specific problem. But also that, and this is one thing that we want to emphasize on this library, is that we want to have best practices on how to document a governance module. So how do you specify a module? In order to implement in Soroban, how you will go through it? Or you want to turn this governance module for your specific community, the specific data sets that you have. How you would go to calibrate, and any trade-offs. How do you choose between optimizing for different trade-offs? So we are bootstrapping this library with 3 initial modules. 2 of them are the voting mechanisms for SCF, which is Neuro Governance Core Delegation. The third one is going to be related to identity management. We are still unsure about the name, but it's kind of like similar to a passport-like manager, but that takes into consideration the possibility of multiple tiers. And the idea is that over time we can create boundaries, we can accept community contributions to include more modules. And it could be both simple modules like quadratic voting, but also more sophisticated ones that are being ideated on the Soroban community. And yes, this ends my presentation on the library, and I'm going to pass to Anke so she can lead the panel discussion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have, now that we learned a bit more about like the pioneers of kind of governance solutions on Soroban, we would love to kind of know, like from, the months that you have kind of been diving into this, what are your kind of thoughts, your expertise, your kind of general experience as well. And so I have a few questions here that I want to dive into, and it can be kind of like a casual discussion. So how do governance solutions on Soroban compare to other smart contract platforms?
I can start. Maybe I can start because I don't really have a technical answer to this. So what was really interesting for us all the time when we looked at Stellar was actually the mission alignment around what Stellar wants to do for the world. And I've seen this in all the panels here today as well. So banking the unbanked was one of the original ideas around it. And when I'm thinking about governance for Stellar as well, this is as well a very good use case for Stellar to have something for people in emerging markets or for people in communities when there's no real or no good legal infrastructure around. Governance is something that people can actually really use in their everyday life, and Stellar is very well suited for this because it has fiat on-ramps in all these countries and areas. And that for me made Stellar very interesting for governance, because it's like, for us, for example, I'm in Germany, it's super annoying to setting up a limited liability company, but it works. And so more often than not, it might even be a better solution than having a DAO. But if you're like in a community where you don't have legal liabilities or legal infrastructure or legal enforcement around you, forming a DAO is actually very interesting kind of thing. And having a democratic, decentralized way of voting and coming to solutions or coming to consensus around your community is super cool. And for me, it was like the one thing that I thought about what Stellar actually drives apart from other smart contracting platforms that are all Turing complete and you can build a lot of things on them. But like the mission alignment for me was something that actually stood out for Stellar.
Got it.
Well, yeah.
Well, on our side, I think the main benefit is that some people say that coming late to the game is something bad. I think it's actually the opposite, because you can learn from others. And something that actually Soroban is enabled, is what I said before, is that it has many particular features that other platforms, they need to do, but it's not natively. Upgrading the contracts and those related with trust lines, especially in DAOs that you need to comply with some regulations. It's really important to be able to basically to vet the holders, and that's something that came natively. In my opinion, that's actually a game changer, because you don't need to actually to try to create that yourself. You already have a battle-tested network for that. So I feel the main advantage is that many of the features that you need to build a DAO are native. So in my opinion, that's basically what puts Soroban ahead of the others.
Yeah, I'd have to echo both Christian and Leo on the accessibility and mission alignment. And I see some benefits with Stellar in comparison to chains like Ethereum, in that I believe we can make it a lot easier to access for the community by lowering costs and making participation realistic for the average person. The other aspect is that Stellar has L1 tokens with the trust lines, and we can interact with all those existing tokens on Soroban using the Stellar asset contract or asset interface, and I find that real interesting. Stellar Community Fund was also a big inspiration for me. Basically, the way we were doing voting before they designed this new voting mechanism made me realize there's a need in the ecosystem for a better voting or better governance methods, and I believe Soroban can offer that for us.
Yeah, my short experience with Soroban says that one of the differentiators is a cultural one, which is this emphasis on a batteries included experience for developers. I was positively impressed by the amount of documentation, but also some of the software and pages that we're writing for It was an interactive called a tutorial that I was quite impressed. I forgot the name, but also setting up a local node is very, very easy. The usage of Rust decreases a lot the learning curve. And I think this is a key differentiator because as we want to target more communities, as we want to expand markets, the more and the more isolated you are, the less access to, let's say, senior developer resources you have. So the fact that you have a easy onboard, you have a easy learning curve, you have batteries included, allows us to target communities that has access only to more junior developers and so on. And I think that there is a lot of potential here. And yes, I would say that this is an interesting highlight. And yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. No, that's you keep that one, yeah. I think the rest of us have these, they're supposed to work. So, yeah, no, that was really interesting, right? And you can really see, like, I mean, even though the differences are subtle, I think they can make or break, like, really to make the difference. And so, like, we were talking about, Enrique was talking about, like, native, like, upgradability features. We have mission alignment. We have kind of access due to like speed and like cost efficiency, as well as yeah, the kind of the ease of use, kind of the learning experience, the batteries included that Soroban was designed for, which is very exciting. So I have one more question here. So you know, kind of like to ideate on, right? We're very early in our journey here. Like we have a couple of projects, and I think we're building like out libraries. So it's like it's really like pioneering this ecosystem. And so you know, I wonder which governance models do you believe should be built in the Soroban ecosystem? Like which will make the most impact?
I can start again.
Start.
I can start with the sounding I don't know. The way we've built our system was that we don't make any assumptions about your governance model, and I don't think we should. So there are smart people like you guys over there doing a lot of things, putting a lot of thoughts into governance models, and this might change actually over time, and there might be people with different use cases all along. So what we do, we have built in a majority voting mechanism, which is like basically the default. It's very robust. It's what most people know, but you can swap it out. So what we try to do is being as flexible as possible, making no assumptions about your governance mechanism. And yeah, everyone's walking in different shoes and yeah, might have different requirements. So we try to reflect that in our system.
You know, I have some similar thoughts about that. I think that there's different use cases for different groups, and there should be a lot of options available. What we're going about is based on reputation with basically each person gets a vote, and you can have tiered voting. But that's what's built in. We're also trying to build a way that you can change those governance methods while you're setting up your community. So it could be like a simple majority rules, or you could delegate your votes to someone else. But similar to what Christian said, I think that my expertise isn't so much in building these models, but implementing them. And luckily, we have great people building great libraries for us to help implement those. So
I think that that it's not like we haven't the correct way to do it. It's better about think about what is the best for your project. You know, it's like they said, it's something impossible to actually assume which one is going to be the better. But in our case, since we need to comply with some rules, I think the type of governments I would like to see in Soroban is those related with a little bit more fair. I mean, they are more fair about the voting system, because something that I have seen a lot in the blockchain space is that everybody thinks that one token, one vote is the right way to do it. I don't think so, because that's actually easy to manipulate and to abuse.
Yep.
And I would like to see more solutions like trying to avoid those issues in the network. So we went with a combination between democratic and quadratic voting, because we do vetting of the holders. But it's like I said, it depends on the project. The only thing I feel it will good to see is just fair. as long as they're fair, I believe it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my engineering mind thinks that over time, it most likely we will have a funnel, because a funnel that we do expect lots of community members to have desirables and requirements that exist but not necessarily are met by the existing modules or even the described modules. As per those requirements and desirables, people are going to have ideas of modules that can be implemented and actually specified. And once it's specified, then we can move to implementation and documentation. So I do have several ideas out there about modules that we could or could not have, but I think that what instigates me the most on the Soroban community is really having the full funnel, like allowing the community to express its desires and requirements in a way that can be matched to ideas, to be able to brainstorm, create issues that would allow development and the specification of those modules. And yeah, do it in an organic way, but also in a way that allows for tracking development, allows for us to create issues and bounties in a way that we can keep continuously evolving. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah, no, this is great. Leaving the options open, huh? Well, actually, that kind of brings me. Well, personally, I think you might have seen also from our previous session. I'm really interested also having more reputation type of voting mechanisms, more like delegation and more innovative in that way. I haven't seen too much going on. Well, I have seen a lot, kind of some exploration, but I think when we go into reputation, like you mentioned, when we go into the voting weights and kind of be a bit more dynamic, be a little bit more complex, but make it more so that it kind of matches even our human society, right? I feel like there's a lot of innovation left. And kind of to point on that front, we would love to actually invite all of you. Oh, not yet. We would like to invite all of you to join us tomorrow. We are having a working group led by Danilo on governance solutions on Soroban. So if you're you know what, I actually have a great idea, I want to talk with this, we already did some research, and there's great minds here as well that are heavy building on the implementation itself. So come join us tomorrow, and yeah, hope to see you soon. Thank you all for watching, and thank you for presenting.